So first, Minister, you're very welcome to the House. This is my first time to address you in this House since you were re-elevated. Congratulations. I'm delighted to see you. And I'm sure the people over in the Northwest are delighted to see you in that post as well. So congratulations on that. Minister, recently I spoke in this House on the serious matter concerning the taxi industry. And I'd like to address the current regulatory issues affecting the industry. Here in Shanadair and Oireachtas, the serious concerns about companies holding up to 200 taxi plates and renting them out at rates of between 100 and 200 euros per week. Just last week I travelled in a taxi where the driver was paying 200 euros per week to rent a plate. That's 10,400 a year, and that's before you factor in the vehicle's maintenance, insurance, rental, and fuel costs. Many drivers effectively work the first 3 days of the week just to pay the cost of running the car. Now, Minister, you'll know, and I know, when we brought in deregulation, the idea was to create more competition in the industry and to make the industry better value for money for the ordinary citizens. I understand anecdotally that there are individuals in this city who hold 100 plates or 200 plates, some of whom are absent landlords living outside the state. This raises fundamental questions. Is this consistent with the original rationale for deregulation? How can we be sure that those who are driving taxis have the necessary qualifications and have passed the public service vehicle test, are properly insured and meet the safety standards? If I can rent a plate from somebody and stick up some sort of a form in my window, is anybody going to stop me and check that I actually have qualified to drive the car? Who allowed one individual to purchase 200 plates and rent them out at exorbitant sums like 10,400 a year? 100 plates at a rate, it's an enormous sum of money, Minister, an enormous sum of money for somebody who doesn't even drive a taxi. And we find that there are taxis on the road 24 hours a day, as two people may choose to rent the same plate or to share the rental of the plate. Every person has a right to earn a living, and that includes taxi drivers. So I have no difficulty with taxi drivers and the rates they charge. However, in recent years we have seen the growth of the taxi call centres. Particularly Free Now was the first one into the country. Uber is here now. And they're a great service. I can pick up the phone or go to my app and call a taxi, and that's fantastic. However, take an example I was given last week. A person books a taxi from one of the platforms to go to Dublin Airport from Cabinteely. The cost of the taxi is quoted at 66 euros. The person agrees to the charge that is outlined for them. And what happens then? The company involved contacts the taxi drivers and says, I have a trip from Cabinteely to Dublin Airport. I'm offering 30 euros for it. Who wants to take it? And if nobody takes it at 30, they'll increase to 35. If nobody takes it at 35, they'll increase again. So effectively what we have is the very people who could introduce competition into the system by bidding or asking drivers to bid for runs, they're taking the fixed price and they're given a greatly reduced price to the driver, making absolute massive profits for themselves. This, I believe, is repugnant to the whole idea of deregulation. I understand the system in the UK now is that they are running a bidding competition for every trip, some of these large companies. So while the plan was to deregulate the system by running these two issues are, to my mind, running against the notion of competition. One, the rental of a taxi plate. It should be one plate, one family. Simple as that. Or one plate, one driver. There should not be a capacity for anybody to own more than one plate. And those that do own them, we should review the regulations and get back to a situation where every driver owns his own plate or her own plate, as the case may be. And the other one then, of course, is the bidding. By all means, bid for runs, but if you do, pass it on to the consumer. I look forward to your reply, Minister.
Thank you, Gerard and Senator Cotterill, for your question, and I welcome the opportunity to discuss this important topic, which I am taking on behalf of the Minister for Transport, Darragh O'Brien. From the outset, I would like to clarify that the National Transport Authority, or the NTA, is the independent transport regulator of the small public sector service vehicle sector, i.e. taxis and hackneys. And the Minister of Transport is not involved in the day-to-day operation of that sector and notes recent developments regarding taxi protests. Ireland has a robust regulatory framework for taxis and hackneys, which require that all drivers and vehicles are licensed as a means of protecting the consumer and helping ensure public safety. Furthermore, no special regulations have been developed to govern the carriage of passengers by passenger cars, which are not small public service vehicles. Therefore, the classic model where anyone with a car and the relevant app may provide taxi services does not exist here. Protection of the consumer and personal safety are vital objectives and must continue to be central to how the SPSV industry is regulated and operated. In November 2025, Uber Ireland introduced a new option on their platform, providing their customers with a single maximum price for a trip before requesting. The option is referred to on the platform as taxi fixed price. Usually when booking a taxi with Uber or other dispatch operators, a price range of the approximate cost of the journey is shown. With the Uber taxi fixed price option, the customer is now provided with a maximum guaranteed price up front. If the final price of the taxi meter is less than the initial maximum price provided, users pay the lower price of the meter. And if the final price on the taxi meter is greater than the maximum price, users pay the maximum price. From a legislative perspective, Section 24 of the Consolidated Taxi Regulations Act 2013 and 2016 empowers the NTA Board to make a maximum fares order, fixing the maximum fare that may be charged by the driver of a taxi for any journey. The current maximum fares order took effect in December 2024, and a maximum fare review is carried out approximately every 2 years. The NTA has conducted these reviews since 2011, and hackney and limousines agree their fares in advance and do not use a meter. As set out in legislation, charging more than a maximum fare can lead to a prosecution. However, charging below the maximum fare is permitted. The Minister understands that the Uber fixed fare price offer does not breach the maximum fare regulatory provisions for taxis or constitute an offence associated with the misuse of taxi meters set out by the NTA in the Small Public Service Vehicle Fixed Payments Offences and Driver Licence Period Regulations 2022. The SPSV operators are self-employed and may decide whether or not to sign up with a licensed dispatch operator such as Uber. They are not obliged to be affiliated with any dispatch operator, and where they choose to do so, taxi drivers are free to contract with a dispatch operator of their choice. Neither the Minister nor the NTA are parties to the commercial or contractual arrangements between SPSV drivers and their dispatch operators. Accordingly, the Department and the NTA have no role in the approval of such matters. You raise where one individual or a family or a company can have up to 200 plates or 100 plates. That's a matter that's quite disturbing, and I will bring it back to the Minister.
Minister, thank you very much. That's a comprehensive reply from your department, and I was aware of the fact in bringing the commencement matter that the department has got the NTA to, if you want, to oversee the industry. I brought the commencement matter, and I thank you for taking it, in order to raise this matter of public concern. In fact, the fixed price system used is not to the benefit of the consumer. From what I understand, it is to the benefit of the operator. And all I can say, Minister, is based on what we've had today, first and foremost, I would ask the NTA to carry out a review immediately. I do appreciate the fact that the NTA cannot be involved in a contract between a driver or a service provider and one of these call centres. And my final point would be, if I were a taxi driver and I were being screwed like this, I would urge the people to move away from the provider and find a provider that will treat them in a fair and comprehensive way. Thank you for your time. Thank you, Gerard.
Senator, as previously mentioned in the opening statement, the regulation of the SPSV industry, including the setting of fares, is a matter for the independent transport regulator, the NTA, which you alluded to. Section 24 of the Consolidated Taxi Regulations Act 2013 and 2016 vests power in the NTA Board to make a maximum fares order that fixes the maximum fares that may be charged by a taxi driver. And the NTA conducts fare reviews approximately every 2 years, and the current maximum fares order took effect in December 2024. Taxi fixed price is a trip option introduced by Uber in Ireland where passengers see a single maximum price for their trip before requesting it. The Minister does understand that Uber taxi fixed price is also available in other jurisdictions such as Berlin, Brussels, London, licensed black taxis that use Uber app, and Madrid. And the Minister understands that how it works is that a price is displayed in advance, showing the maximum fare for the ride, and the user pays the lower of the metered fare or the maximum fare provided. I will bring your concerns back to the Minister.